That means I, the ultimate Wieberer. Another round, another starting lineup, but this round, your prayers, well, they've been answered. Jason, the saddest sack Sagini, apparently has better things to do than help you prep for round 27. That means it is I, the ultimate Wieberer, who will guide you through yet another double game week. This one featuring LA, Montreal, New York, Vancouver, and San Jose. No sad sack. There's no DC in this one. You were wrong last week. I was right. As always, and as it's a double game week, these are the most sought after clubs entering the MLS Fantasy Manager homestretch. With that in mind, and it better have been on your mind like 2 weeks ago, let's keep this week's episode fairly simple and divide your transfer targets into two groups, DGWs and your single week all-stars. I'm going to start, as you should have, by running the rule over your best DGW bets. And I shouldn't have to tell you that there's no better fantasy bet these days than the LA Galaxy. Landon Donovan, pick him up or get left in the dust. Omar Gonzalez, I've got him too. And if you haven't had Giassi Zardes for weeks already, you clearly haven't been watching this show. My only slight concern this week with LA, and there's not many, that's whether Robbie Keane will jump right into the lineup in midweek following action for Ireland. Keep an eye out on that one. Watch the news, maybe save that final transfer for old Robbie. And with the obvious out of the way, here are my top 5 picks for the rest of the week. The rest of the crop of 180-minute players. Number 5, Tommy Thompson. He's still dirt cheap at $4.3 million, and he's still hitting 3 points every week. That's got to change sometime, right? The kid's in the lineup to stay in 2014, and he's your go-to DGW bargain this week. At number 4, Pedro Morales. I know Vancouver haven't scored in 411 minutes. That's terrible, but San Jose at home is the perfect remedy for a snake bit attack. The Quakes have given up 16 goals in their last 6 matches. Pedro, a decent bet if you hung on to him. At number 3, Bradley Wright Phillips. Look, Thierry is the sexy pick. He scores golazos. He's also the pricier player, and he's publicly stated his number 1 aim is to feed BPW. Well, BWP. His main aim is to feed BWP, who has become a pretty sure bet, as most of you know, to get between 5 and 12 points a game, no matter how well the Red Bulls are playing. He's my pick over Thierry. Look, the price matters in my lineup. At number 2, Chris Wondolowski. Stay away from the Quakes D. That much is obvious. I already said it, but it's also a fact that Chris Wondolowski tends to save his best form for the end of the year. He's got 5 goals in his last 6. Jump aboard the Wando wagon. And at number 1, apologies, fellow Ignacio Piatti owners, it's the Montreal Impact man. Look, there's just 45 of us owning him. That's incredible. 8.5 mil. What are you doing out there? I've recommended him before, and I'm going to keep telling you to pick him up. He's played 90 minutes just twice in MLS. 2 matches, 90 minutes, 13 and 9 points, and yet no transfer buzz. Strange. Of course, most of us, myself included, will not be fielding 11 DGWs this week. It's not actually recommended. With that in mind, here's a rapid-fire guide to the single-week All-Stars that could still rock the boat and might not already be on your fantasy radar. I'll save the obvious advice for Sad Sack. All right, let's do it. Alvis Powell in Portland, Giles Barnes in Houston, Luis Silva in DC, Luke Mulholland in Salt Lake City, Brad Evans in Seattle, Connor Casey in Philly, Charlie Davies in DC, Michelle in Dallas, and finally, Justin Miram in Columbus. Oh, and before I forget, old Sad Sack here just had to find a way to get his 2 cents into the show, even though he couldn't be troubled to join me. And I quote, "Do you mind if I drop a bit of fantasy knowledge so the fans don't suffer with only you to follow down a deep, dark fantasy hole?" Look, the hole's not that deep or dark, Jay, but I'll do it for you just this one time. I may call in that favor, though, down the line. Look, here's number 1 from Jay. Don't go crazy with double weeks. Remember, 1 Lee win is greater than 2 Tommy Thompsons. It's probably good advice. 2, don't overthink your captain. You should already be hitched on the Landon Donovan train, even if LA's on the road for 2 games. Hey, he's sure he's not rested? You just got to be sure he's not rested on Wednesday night. And finally, from old Sad Sack, he still likes New England this week with a home game against Montreal, and Montreal coming off a tough midweek game against LA. So, if you stocked up last week, keep riding the Rebs. There you have it. Half-baked advice from SadSec and the usual brilliance from myself. Tell us what I got right and what SadSec got wrong in the comments section below, or dish out your own advice. It's all there. It's open for you. Open forum. The dynamic duo, that's us two, we'll be back next week. Until then, good luck in all your matchups, and make sure to get your teams locked in before Wednesday's 7:30 p.m. deadline.